everybody. Hope you can see this and hear this. I'm in the Kia and it's really loud today for some reason, more so than others. Anyway, I got an email from somebody on the team that trains online, and the header subject line of the email was motivation. And basically the question was, and this person was very apprehensive at first to even ask me, you know, seems that they are struggling with being motivated for training. And basically in a nutshell asked me, what should they do? You know, they were going to train today, but, you know, sometimes they're talking themselves, you know, trying to talk themselves out of training and so forth. And ultimately the question is how do you stay motivated? And this is something that is asked by a lot of people of Jennifer, for instance. You know, you think about in the last couple of years what her success has been, where she wins the women's Pro-Am and is the best lifter, has broken world records and so on and so forth, is 2 times now, USA Powerlifting's national champion. Last year she was the best lifter. This year, like by .08 Wilks, was second place to Kim Wofford, which there's never any shame, you know, getting beat out for best lifter by Kim Wofford. Then wins worlds and is the best lifter. So you say all those things, and what I'm trying to tell you by sharing all that is you would assume that someone like Jennifer is always motivated. And I think she'd be the first one to tell you, and for fact, I have heard her say in podcasts and interviews, you're not always motivated. Now, how do you counter that? Because there are days it's hard, and I will not lie to you, when that alarm goes off some mornings at 4 o'clock, and I know that I have messages waiting on me. Joe is in Britain, Englandish area. Fabio is in Switzerland, you know, and then there's people like Matt Kerr, who is in Canada, which is not like a super crazy time zone, but he trains sometimes late at night, where I've told him, hey, I'm headed to bed, I'll watch these tomorrow. And so I know coming right out of the gate, the first thing in the morning, that I'm going to have email or messages to answer, and I have to be ready to rip, because Melissa, basically, when that alarm goes off, she is up out of the bed and getting ready to go train. She basically gets dressed, goes and feeds the dogs. That food is prepped the night before. She's got her stuff ready to mix, if it's not already mixed, for a protein drink or a pre-workout drink, whatever the case may be, and she's downstairs warming up. Many times it's between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, because I'm answering questions and doing the things that I have to do to get the day started, and have to be down there. So there's always that Monday through Saturday that I have to be ready for. And again, the reason why I'm including all that, there are days just like anybody else where it's like, I really don't feel like doing this. Now, what's the difference? Well, where some people will go, I'm just going to take the day off. I'm stressed out, or I don't feel good, or my dog ate my homework. And the difference in say someone like me or Melissa or Jennifer is we know that if we do nothing, we guarantee the results. And that's something I've said to a lot of people. When you do nothing, you guarantee the results, and that's nothing. You're only ever, in the best case scenario, only ever going to get what you put into it. And just because you've done everything right, and you've busted your ass, and you've sacrificed, and you made choices to chase your goals, it guarantees you nothing more than the opportunity to reach for that goal. Now, let me repeat that. Just because you're busting your ass doesn't make that doesn't give you promise of anything. It gives you the promise of hopefully having the opportunity to do so. So sometimes you got to have some perspective, and that's why where some of you are doing, when I give you the programming and say you miss a rep and you try it again and you miss a rep again and you try it again. Now you don't disclose that until you send me the workout and you've made 4 or 5 attempts. You got to understand, you have to have an urgency to get the weight in the prescribed time frame in the set and rep scheme in this instance. How does that relate? It's the same thing in life. If you're competing or anything else, you have to have a certain urgency. You don't get a bunch of do-overs or more chances. Same with powerlifting. You have 3 opportunities, by and large, to make an attempt, and that's it. You know, and anything can happen. So what keeps me motivated is I have goals, I have things that I want to achieve, and I've learned from doing this for a long, long time that if I don't go and get it done, it's not going to happen. There's no meat magic. You get what you get. And so for me, some days you're just not 100%. You may not feel well. You've got a nagging little injury, you know, or a tweak, you know, or sometimes, you know, life's tough and stressful, and even the most resilient people, sometimes it affects them negatively, and you have to make adjustments. And I'll say it again, like I've said before, if you're only 75% that day, then you give 100% of that 75%. You got to understand, it's what you make a priority. It's not whether or not you have time. It's really whether or not you're making it a priority. You know, I hear it all the time. I don't have time to train like you do. You don't have my schedule. Trust me, I have shaped my entire life around, you know, doing what I do, so I have the job that I have and do those things. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do like I do. What I am suggesting is that you evaluate what level of priority is this training, you know. And that in itself is enough to keep me motivated, because I know if I don't get in the gym, if I go downstairs at 6 o'clock, I have a finite amount of time, even though I live at the gym, to get X amount of work done. And sometimes I still run out of time because of responsibilities and priorities that go above and beyond what my training is. That's just the cost of my position. So ultimately what I want to say is, each day you have a choice, and if you make the choice to train, you do the best you can, and know that some days it's not going to be magical. There are days you go in there and you just kill everything, and that's very motivating. And you've seen me make the little graph and chart where, you know, everybody wants to have this linear progress where it's all gradually in a graph line going straight up. And it's just never, ever going to happen that way. It doesn't happen in your relationships. It doesn't happen, you know, in gaming. It doesn't happen at work. None of those. There's ebb and flow. And it's the person that ultimately, there's this magic word, the person that is consistent, that is methodical, that's the person that's going to come through. Everybody, like when we first start training and you make those newbie beginner gains, everybody's like, I'm going to be the next Mr. Olympia. I'm going to be the next world champion, whatever it may be. And then you get to a certain level and those gains don't come as quickly. And I understand that that's where motivation can take a hit. But the thing that you know is that if you dig in, it's like with your relationship. A bunch of you guys are married. Sorry, I'm a little bumpy here. You know, it's not always awesome, you know, and you're measured by the entire body of work. And so even in relationships, there's bumps and scrapes and difficulty. And what is defining is how consistent you are and how you dig in and you get it done, even when things aren't the absolute coolest. You see the correlation, you know. So I stay motivated because I have made it a priority. And on days that I'm not feeling well, or I'm a little sore, or I'm just worn out, that happens, you know, then I go in and I do my best, and then I move on. What I don't do is just not do anything. I don't quit, and there's not a woe is me factor. You have to get in and get it done. So if it's a priority, you'll find a way. If you want to do this, you'll find a way. And that ultimately is the bottom line. So hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully it gives you guys some insight. For me personally, I wanted to be a world champion. I wanted to be the #1 master super heavyweight in the world. I wanted to win a national championship in masters weightlifting, and I wanted to win masters nationals in strongman, you know, even at my age. And so there's always something I'm dangling, some sort of carrot. When Wes is able to lift more than me, regardless of how much I outweigh him by, I want him to have had a sense of accomplishment, not because I just got old and didn't give a shit, and then he just, by nature of he's younger, he beat me. You know, Wes is going to have to bust that ass to beat me. And, you know, it gets, trust me, every year that goes by, it gets tougher to keep that going. But those are the things that motivate me. And so hopefully that gives you some insight, gives you some perspective, and helps you answer your own question. All right.